Okay, this is your video demonstration, first of the year. We are going to work on our shading practice. This is something we're going to use throughout the year, and this is part of our drawing unit, first couple of weeks of school. So this is going to show you and give you some skills to practice and show you how an artist goes about improving their shading skill. Some of you are better than others, but everybody wants to get better, hopefully. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is create two gradient scales. So the first one is going to be a rectangle, just like this, and we're going to add a second rectangle to that. Okay, and we're going to label them. This one we're going to call smooth gradient. Okay, and this one we're going to call step gradient. Okay, and these are two shading techniques that artists will use. You can use them in limitless applications, literally, but these are how an artist will go about practicing their gradients. Okay, so the smooth gradient, we don't need to do anything other than write 100 over here and 0 over here. If you want to, you can draw a line to show that you are going to go from 100% dark to 0% dark. So this will be completely black, and we'll gradually lighten as we shade. You'll see me do this in just a minute. And then over here, it's going to be white in this spot. So we're going to kind of fade it out, so to speak. Okay, it's a smooth gradient. And over here, we're going to do a step gradient. So we're going to draw a line to divide it in half, and then two more lines to divide those in half. And we're going to write 100, 75, 50, and 0 to represent the steps we're going to take. So there'll be a hard break. This will be completely dark, and no transition between. This line will show us where to start coloring 3/4 pressure, half pressure, and 0. If you want to do 25 instead of 0, that's probably better, because 0 you don't have to color at all. So let's change that to 25. So if you marked a 0 here, or if you haven't started yet, that last one will be 25. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, well, tell you what, let's go ahead and do these first, and then we'll work on some forms down here, because forms I have to kind of teach you how to draw those. So I'm going to color these, and if you want to set yours up while I'm coloring, you can do that. Or if you want to start coloring, you've already got this set up, you can do that as well. But I'm going to start here and work this way on the top gradient. Kind of go back and forth over that. Okay, and I'm going to start lightening up right around in here, and bringing that pressure off of that pencil. See how I'm going up and down inside there, so I am giving that smooth transition. Okay, now you may not be as fast as me. You may have to go back and work some areas and kind of blend them with your pencil. Okay, I've done this for lots of years, so my smooth gradient is right there. I'm ready to use it, ready to make it at any time, in any space. Okay, you may need more practice. You might want to draw a few more rectangles and practice them if yours does not look quite like mine. And then for the step gradient, I'm going to color dark here just like this, 100 above. I'm going to make this whole square fully dark, 100%. Let me go back over it a second time. So it's very dark. And then I'm going to back off a little bit, pressure-wise, and make this similar to this area over here. So 75 is about what we want for this. So it's dark, but it's not as dark as the first one. And this one I usually build it up, so I go back and forth over it a few times. So you see there's a little bit of a difference between this one and this one. And then that should see even lighter for the 50. Okay, and then the 25 should be the lightest one. So I'll just kind of make it a light gray. So you see there's more white space in here, and even more white space and a lighter line. Okay, so these are our smooth gradient is just boom all the way across. Our step gradient, we are coloring each box in with the same tone all around. And you may need to practice these more than once so you kind of gauge where you're at. Again, with the blind contour, the gesture, the contour drawing, everyone's in a different place. So with this, I want you to look at mine as your standard rather than your neighbor's. Okay, so this is a good standard to reach for. Do I expect you to be here by the end of class today? No. Do I want you to get closer to this by the end of the school year? Yes. Okay, there's a big difference, and don't be the student that thinks, oh, if I don't do perfect, I give up. It's a process. Everything's a process in art. Okay, we're learning as we go. We are improving our skill as we go. All right, so I talked about forms down here. Now, we've done lots of cylinders this year, so I'll draw a cylinder first. Okay, I start with an oval, and I draw two vertical lines down from the sides of the oval, and then I curve the bottom to be parallel with this bottom curve of the oval. So that closes that off. Okay, and then I'm going to use my smooth gradient to kind of wrap it around this here. Again, vertically working here and making it a little bit lighter as I go. Okay, so you can practice that smooth gradient here. Another thing I like to do with my cylinders is I will draw two lines that kind of stick out from the side and then a curved top, and I'll color this in also. This gives it a place to sit. So this is kind of like its shadow. Okay, and you can practice this with any forms that you know how to draw. Another easy one is you make a upside down V, and then you curve the bottom just like we did the bottom of the cylinder, and then you wrap the gradient around starting with the point, and then give it a little shadow. And that is your cone. Another thing that's really super easy is a sphere. So I start with just a simple circle, and then I'm going to wrap my gradient around, kind of curving it. Give it a little shadow there. So if my shadow's on this side, my light, we call this light source. I'll cover this again once we do still life, but just a quick little thing. All my light sources are coming from the right, and that means my shadows are going to be on the left. Okay, so we'll set up a spotlight for this for a much more dramatic shadow effect. It's hard to get a light source in a room like this because we have such it's called a diffused light source, because the light's coming from everywhere. So their shadows are hard to see because there's multiple light sources. So we'll set up a spotlight and turn the room dark whenever we do our still life. Okay, so any other forms that you can think of, you can put down here. If you need to practice these more than once, please do that till you have what looks like mine, and I will let you guys work for the remaining about, let's say 20-25 minutes of the period.